Major efforts are currently on to hunt down a unit commander of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Irshad Ganaie, considered to be the most wanted man in Kashmir at this point of time. And now Headlines Today has accessed this disturbing video that contains the last known sighting of Irshad Ganaie during the deadly ambush of an army convoy on Srinagar's outskirts on June 24th last year. The attack had taken place on the highway near Hyderpura, just ahead of the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's visit. Irshad Ganaie is believed to be one of the terrorists who mounted the attack. The video was recovered by security forces from terrorists in a separate operation some months later and appeared to have been shot by militants themselves for propaganda purposes. The video shows two militants climbing the army vehicle and killing 8 soldiers. Now, this man is wanted for military intelligence, sources have told Headlines Today. Several recent attacks in Srinagar, Central and South Kashmir area have been attributed to him and his unit comprising 2 more terrorists. Ganaie came into intelligence agency radars last year during the deadly July 2014 ambush on an army convoy on Srinagar's outskirts, in which 8 soldiers were killed. His unit is also credited with the attack on BSF convoy in Pampore and Pulwama in 2013. Ganaie and the 2 more terrorists, Shaukat Lone and Dujana Bhai, are also behind killing of at least 14 Indian Army men, Jammu and Kashmir police and even the paramilitary personnel. I'd like to cut across to my colleague Shivarur, who's giving us more details on who Irshad Ganaie is actually. Shiv, can you give us details?
Preeti, Irshad Ganaie, first shot into prominence last year, and the video on our screens right now, exclusively accessed by Headlines Today, is actually the last confirmed sighting of this particular individual. He's understood to be about 25 years old. He hails from the Avantipora area of Jammu and Kashmir and has been credited with some of the most controversial attacks in the Central and South Kashmir area, including the one that we're playing out on our screens right now. This is the infamous Hyderpura ambush that was carried out apparently by Irshad Ganaie, who's a LeT operative, along with 2 other terrorists who were able to escape as a result of the ensuing confusion. Now, if you remember, on June 24th last year, Preeti, as these videos depict, 8 Indian Army Jawans were ambushed in a convoy on the Hyderpura highway that goes towards Baramulla, right outside Srinagar. And the ambush resulted in 8 Army Jawans being slaughtered by Irshad Ganaie and 2 other terrorists of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, who ultimately managed to get away. More recently, Irshad was, is known to have been responsible for an encounter in the Budgam area, just, very close to Srinagar, where one Indian Army soldier lost his life. His name was Mushtaq Mir of the Territorial Army. But over the last 2 to 3 years, Preeti, Irshad and 2 other LeT operatives who are always attached to his unit are understood to have perpetrated a large number of surgical strikes within the Kashmir Valley, also in South Kashmir, in Pulwama, in Sopore, in Budgam and in other areas. And they are understood to be extremely well trained, almost commando-like precision in their attacks. The interesting thing about the video on your screen right now of the Hyderpura attack is it's actually shot by a militant. This video, Preeti, was recovered much later when militants in a separate operation were actually apprehended. And the interesting thing about this video, Preeti, is it was intended to be a Fidaiin attack. These terrorists, including Irshad, had gone in fully prepared, to come out in a hail of fire and, go down fighting with maximum casualties. But as a result of the confusion that ensued after the ambush, they actually had an opening and they were able to get away. So what we've got on our screens right now are these extremely interesting pictures that have been shared with us and accessed exclusively by Shujaul Haq, our correspondent in Srinagar, of the first video pictures of a man who is unanimously considered the most wanted militant in the Kashmir Valley at this time. He's become a huge headache for the security forces, the army, the BSF, as well as the Jammu and Kashmir Police Special Operations Group. All of them are part of a task force now, hunting specifically for him and his and the 2 people in his unit, Preeti.
Do stay on with us, Shiv. Shuja-ul Haq, my colleague who's accessed this video, is now joining us live. Shuja, can you get us details? Where how have you been able to access this particular video? How old is this video, and what does it lead to? What are you picking up?
Well, Preeti, this is basically the encounter that had taken place last year around June 24th, just ahead of the Prime Minister's visit back then to Srinagar. This attack was one of the most daring attacks that had taken place at that point of time. It resulted in the death of 8 Indian Army soldiers. And the way this entire attack was carried out clearly suggests how these militants are trained and have the precision of carrying out a commando-style attack. These visuals that we've been able to access show you how daringly these two militants have been able to corner this one particular army vehicle, and then the militant goes on and climbs the window of this vehicle and showers bullets all over. That's probably the result why we saw such a massive damage that was caused to forces at that point of time.
Right.
But that's not the point. The point here is that one of the persons who was part of this attack is still at large. He is the person who is giving massive headache to security forces. Of late, in the last few weeks, we've seen several attacks that have taken place in South Kashmir and Central Kashmir. And he is believed to be a part of those attacks as well. The amount of importance that this person gets can be understood by the fact that now the police has increased the prize amount on any information that anyone can give about this particular person who is probably, lurking around South Kashmir and Central Kashmir.
All right, appreciate you joining us. Shujaul Haq accessing this exclusive video for Headlines today. We will keep tracking details all through prime time right here on the network. For now, gentlemen Chivarur and Shujaul Haq, appreciate you joining us.